you're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day. Or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help.
The FHN network is sponsored in part by Hoddle Services. If you're looking for a disc jockey, karaoke host, video jockey to videographer, our company can help. With over 20 years of experience, we would be happy to help with your special event within Ontario, Canada. You can contact us at 226-988-2895 or visit us at our website at hoddleservices.vpweb.ca. That's HODDLE Services. We look forward to hearing from you and helping with your special event.
Yes, that's right. It's Lock It Up Sports Talk, in August 10th, Tuesday edition of Lock It Up Sports Talk, Fine Settle Network, and ASTV. My name is Logan Lockhart. We do it every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, so because it's August, you know the NFL is coming up, and the preseason has started. We're going to get into a lot of NFL stuff coming up in the next few weeks, guests, everything, and as the weeks go on, it's just going to be a clinic of NFL talk and Lock It Up Sports Talk. That's how we do it here. But let's start with the Jack Eichel situation with the Buffalo Sabres to start off today. And this is a trade saga that's really gone to an extent that I can't remember in a very long time in the NHL. This is ugly. This is something where Eichel was a second overall pick in 2015. So you know that 6 years later, if he is so upset with the organization and this and that, you already know that things have gone real downhill for that team. And I'm speaking generally, but when you look at the Buffalo Sabres, it really has gone downhill. I mean, this is a full-blown disaster. Eichel was injured, and he did not play the end of the season. He got injured on March 7th, and now he's got a neck injury. Okay, so we're talking about a neck injury here. It's something that his agents came out and said he wanted the surgery to get done earlier. And we're talking about while the playoffs were going on, right? And of course, the Sabres weren't in the playoffs, but you know, as the season was still going on in the NHL, this is when his agents wanted the surgery to be done. It never happened. And it's not Eichel's call necessarily. It's the team's call. He's under contract. And Eichel acknowledged this when he spoke recently. It's not my call, right? Because I'm under contract. So the thing about this surgery, however, is that it's never been performed on any professional athlete. And it's considered a risky surgery. So there's a lot of question marks going back and forth here about Eichel. You know, is he healthy? If he does get traded, which is 99.9% expected that he will be traded, will he be healthy and will he be able to play right away? We just don't know. So this has taken a twist, right? Because we always knew that Eichel is expected to be traded out of Buffalo, and where is he going to go? But when you add all this injury equation into it, it's taken a whole new twist. And quite frankly, that's why I'm calling it a trade saga like I can't remember in the NHL. It really is something. Now, rumors in the last few days, and why I bring it up now, the rumors are heating up. The New York Rangers, the Calgary Flames possibly in on Jack Eichel. But the thing is is that Eichel and his agents, here was the other thing they mentioned, they were under the expectation and understanding that Eichel was going to be traded right at the start of free agency, at the latest. Of course, Buffalo traded Sam Reinhart. They've dealt some pieces, Rasmus Ristolainen, and there is Eichel and his agent. They're sitting back going, hold on for a second. Where's our trade call? Because it hasn't happened. So this is a total mess. And it's a difficult situation because from the Sabres' perspective, you want to get a lot of value for Jack Eichel. But if everybody in the league and everybody in the world knows that he doesn't want to be there, he has to be traded, this and that, you might not get full value. So I think it's a very concerning time. It's almost one of those things when, from the Sabres perspective, and Sabres fans won't want to hear it, but it's almost like you got to chalk it up as a loss and totally start over with this and not necessarily worry. There's been reports, Greg Wyshynski of ESPN reported yesterday, I believe, that what the Sabres might do is get veteran pieces in exchange for Eichel and then immediately trade those veteran pieces for picks. It's an option. I mean, you might have to get creative at this point because this trade saga is full blown. It's a disaster. And it's real unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. I mean, the Sabres, you look at their core 2-3 years ago, you would say, okay, this is a core that you can really move forward with. It's all gone now. And there hasn't been any success. They've gone through about 1 million head coaches. I'm exaggerating, but they've gone through so many coaches. Now Kevin Adams is in charge in the front office. And, this is a mess with the Sabres. It's real unfortunate. It really is. Now, quickly at basketball. And Goran Dragic traded in a sign-and trade to the Toronto Raptors in exchange for Kyle Lowry. And now the NBA was investigating some tampering going on. But as of now, Dragic is a member of the Raptors through this sign-and trade. He was on Slovenian TV yesterday or a couple days ago. And the media in Slovenia asked him about the trade from Miami to Toronto. And he, quite frankly, in translation here, because he wasn't speaking in English, he didn't seem too thrilled about the idea of being a Toronto Raptor. And here's the quote: "Toronto is not my preferred destination. I have higher ambitions. We'll see." Now, of course, we've seen this how many times in the sports world, where when someone does a media appearance in their home country, and they speak in the language and it gets translated to English, and all of a sudden it's a big problem because in translation something got lost and it's out of context. So this has happened many times. No one should be surprised when a situation like this arises. Now, it did kind of spark a whole problem though in Toronto, and I can see from Toronto's perspective how this is almost kind of like adding on to the problems. They did re-sign Masai Ujiri, which could have been the biggest free agent. So Masai is staying in charge of the Toronto Raptors, president of basketball operations. But, the draft was questionable. I know they like Scotty Barnes. They took him 4th overall instead of Jalen Suggs. But that caused a little bit of what's going on here. Lowry's gone, so now that era's officially over. And it's just been one of those off seasons for the Raptors where everyone can sit back and say, okay, now we see that it really is a transitional phase, right? I mean, before you could have said, maybe they'll try to give it one more run. We know this team's in transition. They were a lottery team in the draft this year. And quite frankly, it's just not the team that a high-profile guy, I'm not calling Dragic high-profile. He's a really good player. He's a really good player, one of the most respected players in the league. But it's not a destination where a lot of guys right now would say, oh, this is great, Toronto Raptors, we're going to really contend. I don't think anyone would ever say that right now. So, his quote, which may have been out of context, he apologized. He's trying to right the wrong. The problem here is that the rumors are really heating up about him. He's from Slovenia, and guess who else is from Slovenia? Luka Doncic with the Dallas Mavericks, who just signed a massive extension of the Mavericks, Maybe he's going to be a perennial MVP candidate for years to come. The whole rumor of them reuniting in Dallas has really come to fruition here, and that is kind of the expectation for a lot of people, that the Raptors are going to flip Dragic to Dallas. So you add that along with his quote, which he said to Slovenian media. It's one of those things where it's a bit of an interesting situation, a messy one for sure. But overall, you're looking at an offseason for the Raptors that's been nothing short of eventful. They did re-sign Masai Ujiri. Imagine if Masai Ujiri departed and went somewhere else. Can you imagine what the city of Toronto and the basketball fans there, can you imagine what they would be going through? My goodness, because they're already kind of on edge here. The Raptors have had a very quiet offseason when it comes to on the court and what they've done and who they've brought in. It's been underwhelming. The people that I read and the people that I listen to, they've believed it's underwhelming. It's one of those situations of Toronto. I do trust Masai Ujiri to kind of put together a competitive team no matter what. The Raptors will be pinned at the bottom of the standings and every projections and all the predictions by every pundit in the country, but watch Masai Ujiri find a way to get this team into contention somehow, not for a title. I'm talking about maybe for a play-in game. Okay, because apparently that's coming back next year, the play-in game. Now, we move on to baseball. And with the Toronto Blue Jays, who I'm going to get into a lot here, I think I'm guilty of this. I'll admit it right now. I underestimated the whole idea of the team returning home. I thought, they're just returning home. What's the big deal? This team's not that great. Okay, they're not a playoff team this year. I underestimated what returning home after 670 days can do. That's a shot in the arm. The jump and the spark that gave the Blue Jays. They just had an 11-game homestand. They went 9-2. And in some of the games, they either really got their hitting shoes on, really swung the bats good and blew their opposition out of the water, or they had dramatic playoff-like wins. Most notably on Sunday, George Springer's 3-run home run in the 8th inning. You're looking at a team right now that's hot as anyone in baseball, and they needed it. They really did, because this wild card race and the division race was getting questionable. Now, it really helps that the Boston Red Sox, since the All-Star break, have been one of the baseball's worst teams. They haven't been good at all. They've really faltered. They're not in first place in the AL East anymore. Tampa Bay's got that. But the Blue Jays, with them playing this well and stringing together as many wins as they have, not only are they right in the thick of the wild card race, I mean, they're right there now. They're with the Red Sox, they're with the Yankees, they're with the Mariners. They play the Angels tonight. The Angels are kind of there. But now you can say, hey, if we just keep it up, we can be in the division talk and go for this AL East crown. And I know that maybe Rays people and people in Tampa will roll their eyes at that. But don't tell me that the Blue Jays and their players, they're not thinking that. I think they don't want a wild card. They want to win this division. They're playing like it. They're in Anaheim, the Blue Jays. 11-game homestand officially over. If that's a good thing or bad thing, I don't know. It seemed like they would not go on a losing streak ever again at Rogers Center. But they go to Anaheim. It's a matchup. I think this is the story of the series. It's a matchup between the top two candidates for American League MVP, Shohei Ohtani and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And Ohtani's going to pitch, actually, on Thursday. It's a 4-game series, so Ohtani will get the Thursday game. And it's a doubleheader today. So, it's one of those things at the Jays where you kind of look at it and you go, hey, 2 weeks ago, it was like if they can get into a wild card spot, it would be a miracle almost. It really would. But now you're looking at it, the Jays are right in it. And I know there's a lot of people right now picking the Jays to make the playoffs. And that's something that I didn't believe would happen. They've really shored up the bullpen through the acquisitions they made at the deadline and before the deadline. And Jose Barrios, and then that was a hefty price they gave up to the Minnesota Twins. But they did it. and they're going for it. And credit to the Blue Jays. They're a very likable team. They're fun. They're exciting. They got the youth. They got just about everything here. And I know there's a lot of people. I'm not just talking about in Canada. There's a lot of people in the baseball world in the United States. They would love to see the Blue Jays make the playoffs because this is a fun, exciting team. They're the kind of team that you want to see in a playoff series because you know it's going to be a great series. And in all likelihood, the Blue Jays might be the underdog in a playoff series. It would be interesting. It really would. But big picture with the MLB. Let's move on to the World Series odds. And I find it interesting always when the trade deadline happens and we kind of see how the odds have changed with futures and different prop bets. But with the World Series, here's my gripe, and I don't understand this at all. The San Francisco Giants, they have the MLB's best record. Okay? They've been the best team in the league. I mean, they've had the best record for how long now? I mean, since April. Okay? This is not a new phenomenon now with the San Francisco Giants in 2021. They've been a real good team. It started off with pitching. Now it's just a little bit of everything. I think Gabe Kapler deserves a lot of credit. And this Giants team is not favored by just about every sports book to win the World Series. And they're behind teams, the White Sox, the Astros, the Dodgers. You know, they're plus 800, the Giants, to win the World Series right now. I don't understand. I mean, you think you would have to favor them, especially the favorite to win the World Series, according to everyone, is the Los Angeles Dodgers, plus 300. They have the best odds in the MLB. If the season ended today, the Dodgers would play in a wild card game. It's a one-game wild card. Anything can happen. It's 9 innings. We've seen the Dodgers in previous years with great rosters falter big time in the playoffs, in big games. Okay, we've seen this movie before. So you're telling me that they're favored to win the World Series. They got to go through the wild card game. And if it ended today, it would be against San Diego. They're bitter rivals. It's been the rivalry of the year in baseball. And those teams play each other incredibly tough. That game's a toss. Blockbusters. It really was. But at the end of the day, it's a wild card game. And I don't understand how the Giants, with the best record in baseball, and it's been like that for 4 months, are still not really at the top. They added Chris Bryant at the deadline as well. And I think that's the story with odds makers right now. I think that's where they're going with this, where the storyline or the media, what they're writing about, they're saying despite having the league's best record, the Giants aren't at the top. And I think it's peculiar, and I think it's very curious. And by the way, if a wild card game between the Dodgers and Padres did in fact happen, you're looking at an instant classic probably, because if you've kept up with any Padres-Dodgers baseball and them playing each other during this season, you know how good those games have been. They've been must-see, all of them. They've just been incredible games. And it would be very fitting from Major League Baseball's perspective if there was the NL wildcard game in 2021 being the Padres and Dodgers. That is all for me on Lock It Up Sports Talk here on the Fines Huddle Network, ASTV. We'll see you next week. Again, NFL, it's coming, and we're going to have a lot of NFL talk on this show. Guests, everything. We're ramping up for it. We really are. The Cowboys and Steelers, they had their Hall of Fame game, the preseason, the traditional preseason game to kick off everything. There you go. That officially opens up the book on NFL talk, as far as I'm concerned. And we're going to get into it all. Remember, 17 games in the NFL this year, not 16, so a bit different. But we'll deal with it all here. Lock It Up Sports Talk. And until next week, it's Logan Lockhart. Here I am, signing off.
Make sure to check out our past shows from previous weeks on our YouTube, Facebook, or Mixcloud channels. You can always catch up on podcasts while checking out our FHN Network channel on YouTube or Facebook. Or you can listen to an audio copy of our past shows on our Mixcloud channel at FHN_Network. The FHN Network, the future of entertainment.